All right, we're in the closet. We're recording. Got Mychal Schulz.
He's back. Michael's back.
Mychal Schulz or Schulz?
It's technically Schulz because
Schulz.
there's no T
That's
in
what
my
I try
last
to tell
name.
him all the time.
Schulz.
Right, but it's
Schulz.
just more effort to say that, so I go along with everybody.
Right. But the proper
Schulz.
way is Schulz.
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 Trying to tell you that. And I'm like, where's the T that you're pronouncing? Is it silent? Is this a silent T
I don't
now?
know. It's,
Look,
it's invisible to you.
I'm just happy when I get letters addressed to Mr. because I have gotten enough addressed to Ms.
Oh, really?
Ms.
because of my first name.
Michelle.
Oh, the way it's spelled. Yeah, because you spell your name different than most Michaels do.
Correct.
That's too funny.
So they mistake it for like
Dear Ms.
Michelle.
Schulz.
Michelle.
Because it's Michelle.
Or
Michelle.
somebody who really
Very
doesn't
fancy
know me
Michelle.
will say, "Hi, Mike."
And you don't like that.
And I just grit my teeth and I say hi, whatever they don't like. Hi, Johnny.
As you should.
Hey, Johnny.
Hi, Frankie.
As you should. As you should.
But that's Mike is short for Michael.
Yeah, but not everybody wants their name shortened. Like
It's
your
my
brother
brother's
Jonathan.
the same way. Jonathan, people call him John. He's like, it's not John. I'm not a John.
Why do you assume to shorten the name?
Well, I'm Jeffrey, but call me Jeff.
Well, and I'm Angela, but call me Angie. Like, if you called me Angela, I would think you were mad at me or...
See, Mike,
don't-
Michael's different for me because my dad's a Michael and everybody called him Mike. So it's weird. You know what I mean? It automatically is like Mike.
Everybody has different preferences, but you shouldn't assume anything from anyone. Am I
think
right?
You shouldn't assume, but I do assume. I'm good at assuming.
No.
Yeah. And I honestly, I think the reason I don't ever call you Mike, I never have, I don't think, is because of how it's spelled. Because I find it intriguing. Right. I find it intriguing the way it's spelled.
I love the
like
different
it. I'm
spelling.
like, that's creative.
Which always cracks me up when people ask, well, how do you get Mike out of how you spell your name? What's, of course, the answer? You don't. That's the point.
Yes.
The point.
It's funny. We had a friend in college. His name is Michael, spelled the traditional way. And I went forever calling him Mike, didn't I? Forever. And then one day Jeff told me, he goes, you do know that he doesn't like to be called Mike.
That's right.
And I was like, what? I felt so terrible. Like, just tell me the very first time. Say, if I say Mike, say, it's Michael, then I'll know. I can't read your mind, Mike. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We got off tangent. We're talking about
We
what?
haven't even been talking about anything. We started with the tangent.
We did.
We started with the tangent. I'm like, can we just turn this on?
So, folks, buckle in.
Yeah.
Grab yourself a Heine. We're off.
A Heine is a Heineken? Are you shortening Heineken?
Whatever you can grab.
Oh, gee.
Or-
Me with a double entendre. Stunner.
Crazy.
Or a Heine. Right.
A Heine.
Whatever Heine you can get your hands on. I
We,
suppose.
no, let's talk about. We can go any which way this goes. We can run down rabbit holes. But we had the conversation once, and I don't know that if you corrected me or if you were educating me on what are they again?
What do you
What
mean?
did we talk about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What are we talking about? I don't know.
I don't even know what
I
you're
hear the
talking
door
about.
knock and I lose my train of thought.
Can you... This is like
That's scary.
podcast charades.
Nobody's
It
at
is
the door.
podcast charades. Nobody's at the door. I'm trying to keep them in suspense on what we're talking about.
Sounds like... Can you give us a subject?
What
here?
are we
Oh, this
talking
is
about?
fun. This is fun. We're
When did
talking
he
about
correct you, just
extroverts and
tonight?
introverts.
Oh.
Is where I'm going.
Oh.
Sorry. And you had told me something that I was like, wait, what? Because you explained to me some traits about extroverts. And I'm like, no, they're just my just accepting it for what I thought it was. I never really looked into it. I just thought people that are like really outgoing and really social, that's an extrovert. Someone
is,
who
but
sits
there's
in a
also
corner
more.
and never talks to anybody is an introvert. And really, I don't think either of them exist.
Oh, here we go.
But then you had educated me, right, on some other traits.
Well, it wasn't
It's
so
more
much
of an exhaustion thing.
education as there's a board on which I serve, and we all took the Briggs-Meyer personality test. And if you go online, I mean, there are proponents of it, there are criticisms of it, there are limitations to it. But the Briggs-Meyer test, I had it taken, and on this particular board, there were about 25 of us who took the test. And it was interesting because 3 of us tested as an introvert.
So you tested it as an
I
introvert.
tested as an introvert, and with Briggs-Meyer, you get 4 letters. And the first one, it's either I or E, extrovert or introvert. And of course, I thought, I'm not an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, what did you think before you took it? Did you think I'm an extrovert?
I know that I like my alone time. I call it Mychal time. I enjoy my alone time. But I enjoy being around people. And I certainly think that in social situations, I can function at a decently high level.
Mm-hmm.
I call it cocktail chatter.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Sure.
So I was a little bit stunned, and I looked at the 2 other board members, one of who actually was chairperson of the board, and another one was a friend of mine. I'm like, what? No way. But then for Briggs-Meyer's test, an introvert is defined as somebody who recharges, energizes by his or herself. Whereas an extrovert gets that recharging, gets energized, interacting with others. And when I heard that, I mean, it clicked immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Because it explained why when I do go into, I've been to parties here at your house. Mm-hmm. And it's fun, and I enjoy it. And when I leave, I'm tired. If I go to an event for work, a social event, a cocktail hour, some gathering, whatever, I can do it. I mean, you've seen me function socially.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm outgoing. I shake
Right.
hands. I can do the cocktail. But I leave, and I'm tired.
Interesting.
Where I have to wind down.
Me too.
When I leave a party, I'm kind of still hyped up. We're chattering back and forth in the car.
So what does that
energy.
mean? No, because that just means I'm wound up.
Okay.
You're
When
wound
I
up
go,
too. You
I do murder
crash.
mysteries. I do murder
Oh
mysteries.
yeah.
Still want to go see one of those, by the way.
Which is, I'll hook you up.
Nice.
But there's a lot of interaction there. I'm
Right.
talking to people all night long for an intense 2 hours. And for 30 minutes after the murder mystery, I'm amped. It's like when you play basketball.
Yeah.
You're amped. Your adrenaline's going. But man, after that,
Come down.
I come down and I want to go to my room. I want to get in my car, drive home.
Yeah.
I want to be by myself because that's when I recharge. It's all energy draining. For an extrovert, those are energy giving things. And it's when you're alone is when your energy ebbs and your power drains.
I never heard of it explained that way before. Because I've always
That's
thought of myself as an extrovert too. But when you say it like that,
How do you recharge your batteries?
Gosh,
What do you do to recharge your batteries?
what I'm doing right now, chilling with a glass of wine at night during my quiet time.
And you're doing it with 2 other people.
Right. But I
Usually-
can chill. I can come down, and recharge with 2 of you sitting here or just by myself. It's what I'm doing. I think it's not if I'm by
Right.
myself or if I'm with a group of people. If there was 10 people in this room right now, and we were all sitting in front of the TV or with the music on, and we're all having a beverage and we're just kind of chilling, I love that. But I could also do that by myself and be fine. I don't need people there with me. So I don't know what I am.
Myers-Briggs.
I
We
always
took
thought
that
I
in
was
college.
textbook extrovert from what you traditionally think of. And I would think the same of you, Michael, and I would think the same of you, Jeff.
Jeff. That's weird.
What do you want me to call you?
Dad.
Geoff.
Daddy?
Oh, good Lord.
But you know what I'm saying? But I've never heard it explained how Michael just explained it. And it makes sense.
I know that's what I couldn't really. I remember him telling me that similar thing, and I thought, that does make sense though. It doesn't mean that an introvert can't
Right.
have the same energy, the same personality traits, the same,
Right. So what is
They're
the...
not just the only people. They're not just the people standing in the corner that hate to be there and have social anxiety.
So
That's
maybe
what
that's
I saw
what
an
that
introvert
is.
as.
Is an so that's what I thought it was too. Not necessarily social anxiety, because that's way different than what I understood an introvert to be. Social anxiety is like you literally have anxiety. You cannot go in there. It's not that you just don't want to be there. Like some people just don't want to be there. They don't have anxiety about it. They just would rather be at home doing things on their own.
True, yes.
Versus I'm sitting in the car because I'm getting ready to go into a party and I can't, because I don't want to walk in there. I don't want to walk across the room. Like Brooke has a little bit of that.
I don't call that being an introvert.
No, I don't either.
I call that having an anxiety, which is a psychiatric
Same.
condition.
Yes,
It's a condition,
I agree.
right.
Because look at Brooke, for instance, which Michael, you know Brooke enough to know she's outgoing. When you're over here and she's here, she's boisterous, she's funny, she's energetic. But to drop
When she's comfortable.
her off somewhere, and if she had to walk across like a parking lot or walk across a room where she thought people were looking at her, she would just clam up. But yet she's very outgoing. So it's very confusing. It's very like I would classify her like traditionally as an extrovert, but at the same time I think she is, but maybe she has a little bit of anxiety as far as I don't know what you would call it. I don't know if it's social anxiety, but there's just so many like
And she's 17.
yeah, but that's not not every 17-year-old has an anxiety about walking across the parking lot.
Oh.
Some of it is anxiety can actually be a good thing.
Well, yeah.
And nervousness can be a good thing. Your listeners don't know I'm an attorney by trade, and I know that I am ready for an argument before the Supreme Court or a trial. When I'm about to start a trial, I know I'm ready because I have to go through a period of time when literally my hands are shaking, my mouth goes dry, and I'm afraid my voice is going to tremble.
Uh-huh.
And then anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes beforehand, it's like, okay, locked and loaded. Here we
You're
go.
in it.
Game time.
But if I don't get that nervousness,
It makes you nervous?
I actually get nervous.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's part of my preparation.
Yeah.
That's like the last thing I have to pass through that chamber to get to where I need to be mentally, emotionally, with the focus and the energy is all online and flowing to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And if I don't go through that chamber, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
When am I going to get there?
Yeah.
So is that anxiety?
Is that
There,
nerves?
there are times I have actually started an argument and I feel my voice is quivering, and it takes me 2-3 sentences before
You even out.
I think
in my mind I'm thinking
Yeah.
now I've hit the smooth surface and now I've passed through the chamber.
And that's a thing with performers too.
Sure.
You hear them say that. I know I listen to like podcasts with comedians and stuff, and they go on the road and they do hundreds of shows. And I know one guy says, I have never not been nervous, almost sick before every single show.
I think it's nerves.
But then I get going and I get to my routine. It's like a basketball player free throw shot. You do your routine, you do whatever you do. And then it's almost like muscle memory. But he said the nerves are like, ugh.
But you hit it right there, and so did you. You get going. Anxiety, you don't get going.
Correct.
Right.
You freak out, you shut down, and sometimes you literally don't get going. You turn and run from the situation. So I think nerves is what maybe that is.
And then again, one of the best things that I've seen and I've read, I saw something recently on it. One of the best things you can do if you feel anxiety coming on is get active, meaning clean.
But sometimes
they say
you
cleaning
can't.
and straightening up. No, I know.
But
When you
sometimes you
have
can't.
crippling anxiety, yes. But I'm saying if it's like me, I rarely have crippling anxiety.
Like if you feel it coming on.
I feel
and
it coming
yeah.
on. I'm anxious. I need to get busy. I need to get
I
going.
agree, yeah.
And doing something. And they said it can be as simple as cleaning your garage.
Yeah.
Organize. It makes you feel there's some
Ooh,
kind of.
cleaning the garage, maybe you'll get anxious this weekend.
I need to clean the garage. I do need to clean the garage.
So I'm an INTJ in the Briggs-Meyer.
INTJ. What's this mean?
INTJs are analytical problem solvers.
Yes.
Occupational hazard.
Makes sense.
Eager to improve systems and processes with their innovative ideas. They have a talent for seeing possibilities for improvement, whether at work, home, or in themselves.
I can 100% agree with that, knowing what I know about you. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot about you. I don't know, maybe your deepest, darkest secrets, but we know a lot about each other at this table, and I agree with that.
I agree with it.
Yeah.
Do you agree with it for yourself?
I
or,
do.
Or am
I
I
do.
just it's on the outside perceiving you that way?
No. That absolutely fits.
Yeah. I want
And
to
so
take the test. Can anybody just take it?
you can
You
take
can
it.
take
Do you
it
have to pay
online.
for it though?
No, you don't have to.
Is there a BOGO? Is
There's
there
a basic exam you can take online,
really?
and you'll
I
get
did
your
not
results
know that.
back. Yeah, so
Let's do it.
it's fun,
Let's do
it's
it.
interesting, and again, there are some people who have critiques and see shortcomings in it. but,
Yeah.
actually, employers use it for some positions
I
for
took
new
it
applicants,
once for that. Yeah. I
and
remember.
also, for instance, boards. We give it to people who go through.
I have
Leadership
had to
West
take
Virginia, so-
I've had to take personality
I have
tests in the
too.
last 4 or 5 sales positions, and I mean, it was always, this is a great interview, but if you don't score well on this, then we can't give you a position.
I don't like
Yeah,
that though. I don't like that.
I don't agree.
I
with
don't
that
agree
either.
with that because I could feel a certain
I
type
get
of
test
way.
anxiety. That's one anxiety.
Well,
I have
and
had.
it's not even that you're answering the questions the wrong way, but one day you might, and this is what my next question before you said that, and we said we didn't agree. I don't know how accurate they always would be because could Mychal take that test 3 months from now and score differently because maybe he's in a different stage of life or maybe he's in just a different mind frame at that time? Or do you have to like look at each question and think deep and you know what I mean?
Right.
I think that you could answer questions differently depending on what's going on in your life. I don't know.
There are.
I don't remember the question.
Not to go too far down this rabbit hole, though this podcast is always about rabbit holes.
Always.
But there are certain tests that you do when you are testing for potential neuropsychological injury from an accident, head bump, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there are actually control mechanisms within the test that are supposed to smooth out exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
And it's also designed to ferret out those who are faking it.
Okay.
There are
Yes, they said
questions embedded within these tests
That we wouldn't know.
that if you are being truthful on that day, the answers to those questions that are spread throughout the test have to line up.
Yeah.
Because if they don't line up, you're probably not being truthful.
Yeah, because
That's what-
if you're taking it for a job, you're going to look at the question and be like, well, how would they want me to answer it? And that's why I think it's not fair and it can't be that.
I had to take it for SIA. I had to take it, and it was very important that I did well on it, which I did well on it. But she told me, Mary told me, she said, just answer every question honestly. Don't don't think about it because they will know. She said we've had people where they're like they're not consistent. They're lying, and she's like, you'll think you're consistent.
You're not being truthful.
Right. She said you'll think you're consistent with your other answers, and you're still the same. But they know what they're doing. They're masters
Yeah.
at this, and they'll know that you're making something up or you're trying to fit a mold that's not you. Mm-hmm. So I went in there. I was like, whatever. I'm just going to answer the way.
I look forward in a future podcast to hearing what you two are. That'd be
I
interesting.
want to know. I mean, because like outright, I would definitely say I was an extrovert. But maybe it's not that. Maybe I'm just an outgoing person. Does an outgoing person mean extrovert? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, it's all about how you re-energize,
see,
recharge.
I did not know that until you just told me that. But I've got to really sit down and think how I really do re-energize. How do I really? Sometimes I think I do need quiet and me time. I re-energize a lot of times by cleaning. Like cleaning will really make me feel good. A, because of the actions. B, because I put music in. And C, because of the outcome. Like
Right.
feeling accomplished. Here is what it is. I'm a control freak. That's basically what it comes down to. Because if I feel like, no, it really is. And we've talked about this before on our podcast. Not a control freak for him. Like I have to tell him everything he does. But for me, like I feel better when my house is clean. My house is put together. Everybody's room's clean. And do you know what I'm saying? Like I want to drive everything. And I want to like just do it. Like that's why it's really hard for me to be here with Nate during the day and get him through school because he's e-learning. It's like I see him like struggling with things, and I just want to be like, just give it to me. Just let me do it. Just get it done. Let's do it. I'll submit it. Just give it to me. Instead, you know what I mean? It's like I have this. Angie, no, it's his 6th grade. It's not yours.
But
Let
you do a
him.
good job of making him do it.
I try, but it drives me crazy because I want to do it.
That's a good trait though, because you don't procrastinate. you get stuff done.
I know, but it's not really, it is good, but it's not at the same time because I'm not helping some people around
Yeah,
me.
but you're going to have one or the other.
You know what I
You
mean?
can be like me and be like, dude, this isn't due till Friday. We'll do it Thursday night.
I know,
Why are
but-
we doing this right now?
Oh, see, not me. I'm like, it's due Friday. Let's get it done now but that I think it would make me maybe not a good leader or a good boss because, for instance, if I was a manager somewhere, I would have a hard time delegating. I'd be like, could y'all just move and let me do it so we can get done? And that's not a good trait, really, necessarily to have.
Right. I see what you're saying.
I don't think that I'm the only person who can do it. It's just I just want to be the one to do it. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense.
So I don't know if it's a
I'm that
control
way
freak,
too with
but-
them, and you even get mad at me because I'm that way at work. I would say if somebody said, "What's a negative thing about you in a leadership role?" and I'd say I really struggle to delegate
Yeah.
certain things because by the time I get it explained and they keep coming back, especially certain employees, it's like I don't want to delegate to so and so. I'll just freaking do it because I'll have it done 3 times before I get done dealing with it.
Well, I'm sure you, Michael, run into this all the time because you're in a delegatory role, being an attorney.
Yes.
Do you delegate well, or would you rather, if somebody's struggling with something, if you're paralegal or somebody's struggling with something, would you rather just do it or do you let them do it?
You know what? This is a constant, I don't want to say battle, that overstates it. But I've taken classes and I have read a lot about leadership. And what is a good leader, what is not a good leader. Plus in my practice, I deal a lot with management people.
Right.
Since part of what I do is employment. And so I am constantly trying to empower the people who work with me and constantly trying to find good people. And when you find good people, empower them to do what they do
Yes.
without interfering and micromanaging it. I grew up, my mom was a secretary virtually my entire life. And so I always saw the workplace through the eyes of my mother. She would come home and she'd complain about this or that, or she'd like this or that. So that when I first found myself as a brand spanking new lawyer in the office, I was like, I'm the boss. And I had people who reported to me. I'm like, oh my God. And I remember sitting down with the very first time I sat down with my secretary who's assigned to me. It's the same conversation I had with her that I have today, all these years later, when I have somebody new come to me. I tell them, you know what? The most important thing is that when I give you something, I want you to get to the finish line. And when you get to the finish line, I want it done well, I want it done right, and I want it done on time. How you get to that finish line is less important to me. As long as you get it done well, you get it done right, and you get it done on time.
Right.
Now, occasionally I may help you along the way, and certainly always come to me with questions.
Right.
But I'm not going to tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to micromanage every step of the
Right.
process because I'm going to empower you to do it how it works best for you.
Right.
And, I'm going to, since we're drinking bourbon, I'm going to say I'm going to brag on myself. I think over the course of my career, people like working with me.
Yeah.
Or people like working for me. And I've always found that I've had staff that are very loyal to me, to the point a couple times like weirdly fiercely loyal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had office managers like come like, oh man, you're great with them.
Yeah.
And there are times they know I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
There's been a screw up. And you know what? They also know that if there's a screw up that is within our circle, I will tell them, you screwed up. And here's what you did.
Right.
Outside the circle, I'm in charge.
Right.
I'm the captain of the ship. So if it's
Yeah,
a court,
yeah,
a privy
exactly.
council, something, come to me.
Oh, that's okay.
leadership,
So
yeah.
here's the thing, because I've worked in the legal field. I worked in the legal field for 13 years before I did personal training, both in the secretary role and in a paralegal role and in just an executive assistant role. So I respect that a lot because a lot of people that I worked with in the past did do that. But then I had a handful that didn't. And every time something went wrong with the court, went wrong with other attorneys, went wrong with whatever, oh, my paralegal, it always threw me or the secretary under the bus. I'm not even lying. To the point of just
remember.
like,
It's bad for morale.
Well, it's bad for morale, and it's not just legal. I mean, it extended to all.
oh, sure.
It's
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's how I operate.
Come to me in private and say, Angie, you messed up. Here's what you did. I'm a little frustrated because you know better. You must not have been paying attention. But
Well, it always cracks me up in this. I had some bad experience with reviews when I was a young associate, but I don't know if you were in a position where I actually review associates and staff every year. There's an annual review. Well, and the office managers I've had in my life they always crack up and they say, you actually do it the best. Because number one, I let the employee or associate read my review.
yeah.
Before I sign it, I give them a review and said, is that fair? And every time, yes, it's fair. And the second thing is,
That's big.
Yeah.
it's fair because when you screw up or you do something wrong or you do something I don't like, you know it at the time. So that if it's big enough that it appears in a review, and I say, is that fair? The people who work for me will never see something for the first time in a review.
Shouldn't be surprised. Right.
Everything that's in a review, I will have already said to them at the time, that was a great job. You did that really well. This was a problem.
Yeah.
That wasn't done the way I asked. Whatever ends up in the review, they've heard it before.
Yeah.
Right.
So how can they say it's not fair?
That's awesome.
That is huge.
That is awesome.
So-
That's huge. And it's well, that's a leader that's more confident. Not just that, but to be able to take the heat when it is on your staff. You know what I mean? When it's on your staff, you take the heat. That's more confident than just throwing somebody under the bus.
Right.
You're really in control of your ship. You're the captain. You're the one that's got to keep morale up, and you want people to want to work for you. So if you build, showing them, I've never heard of anybody having them review it, but that's just a level of transparency that would give me confidence. You have to read it and respect it, even if there's some negative things in there.
Right.
Right.
You have to respect it.
And it's not just because it's glowing. There are times when I'm like, all right, there was this instance where you did not put this on my calendar, and so we were caught short, and it was late, and I got yelled at
Yeah.
because you failed to put this on my calendar. 6 months later, fair?
Yep.
Fair. I told you at the time.
Yeah.
And I think what that engenders is people who are loyal to you and want to do better.
Right.
Well, we've all heard about employees who are just bad. We've all run into it.
Oh, yeah.
Your story about Adelphia.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm a little bit like you, Jeff. Not as much like you, Angie.
Right.
Because we all have bad days.
Sure.
But when you are in the service sector,
Yes.
I mean, I can't go to a judge and say, "Lay off me. I've had a bad day."
Yeah. I mean.
No.
If I'm a bartender, I can't say screw you.
Right.
I don't care if I made you
I
a
think
Harvey
it's-
Wallbanger when you ordered a wine.
Right.
I've had a bad day. When you're a waitress, I understand that,
Yeah.
but at some point, suck it up.
Well, suck it
It's-
up
we
or
gotta-
take responsibility and take a
Or take
personal day
responsibility.
and just call off. I'd rather, as an employer, if I were owning a restaurant, I would rather be short-staffed and have somebody who's having a bad day and going to treat my patrons with disrespect and have them probably go out and bad talk, which I don't do that, but I did on a podcast. I bad talked her. But anyway,
And they made it right
they made it right.
So if any Adelphia
the manager made it right.
they were awesome.
But my point is, I'd rather them just call off if you're having a bad day and take a
Absolutely.
deep breath, get your stuff together, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Some people have a lot of bad days.
Or
Well, then that person's not going to be working for me anymore.
or own it.
Or own it. Yes, if she would have come to me and said, listen, I'm so sorry. I'm really having a bad day. This happened. I would have been like, no worries, take your time. Go to like, it's not about me needing served. It's her attitude towards me. And like you said, she didn't own it. Even when we called her out a couple of times. And even since I've been back, I think
she got bitchier.
She gives me dirty looks. She don't like me. But I don't like her, so it's fine. Well, I don't know her. I don't know her. I don't know her. I shouldn't say I don't like her because I don't know her, but I don't like her attitude.
Right.
But you're right. Own up to it when you make a mistake, you know?
I got it.
That's the equalizer. Is owning up to something usually is
Yes.
the equalizer. And I learned that from my father when I was young and I worked with him. And I'm the guy who comes out and, I want to make excuses, especially when I was younger.
You used to do it all the time.
I used to do it all the time. And I'd still at home, I have a hard time just taking it sometimes. But I learned watching him when I would answer a call or get somebody said so pissed off. And I'd make it, well, he had this and this. No. And then he'd come in and I'd say, hey, so-and-so called, they're upset. And he'd call back and he'd say, man, Bill, I forgot about you. I totally I didn't write it down. It's my fault. What can I do? And the guy goes, it's no big deal. It's fine, right?
You want to hear people admit it.
But when you make excuses, people go, you mother...
This morning, I got a crappy text from my brother.
Oh, boy.
And he'll never listen to this podcast. We're not getting along. And I got a crappy text. And my first instinct was just to rise up
Just
and
go crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, my mistake. When the website said order by Friday and the food will be delivered Monday to my mother, I thought you had until close of business on Friday to order and it'd be delivered Monday.
Makes sense.
Right. So last Friday, I ordered my mom food and it wasn't delivered. And my brother texted the service and said, what happened? He didn't order until after midnight Thursday. So he laid me out for this.
Wait a minute. After midnight Thursday.
Right. Order by Friday.
Oh.
So by
it's just
Friday
the
was
buys.
midnight Thursday.
Oh,
to me, I read it said order by Friday, meaning order by Friday.
I would have taken it by
I
Friday.
would have totally taken it your way.
Right.
Because that's the word you
And so
see.
I
is
could
Friday.
have risen up and said, look, you MF.
Yeah.
This is what it said. Screw you.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And instead, I just said, my mistake. I read this. I thought it meant this way. Clearly, it means something different. I won't do that again.
Now you know, but still.
Didn't hear another word. If I had risen up,
You'd gone
that
back
would have
and
just been an
forth.
ugly.
Yeah. He didn't even respond back and say, that's all right, man. It happens.
Nope. But I knew that because I never got a return text,
Yeah.
that was the equivalent of you getting the, oh man, it's no problem. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Okay.
That- You know your brother.
Because
yeah.
you've just diffused the situation
You
by
diffused
taking
it.
ownership.
Yeah. You owned it.
You owned it.
That bothers me about that company. It should say before Friday.
Rabbit hole.
I will.
It should say before Friday, right? Because then you've been like, well, shoot, I got to order it by Thursday.
I'll send an email.
Could you?
I will.
All right.
The wording could be confusing because I don't know if you know this, but sometimes I just see things and I start to run with it. Like,
No.
like
You're kidding
headlines.
me.
You don't read the whole
Really?
If
article.
all I would see, I wouldn't even see the by Friday. I'd just see
Really?
Friday and be like, I got till Friday.
You are a Russian spammer's dream child.
Probably.
Yeah. he'll just read
Seriously.
No, he really is. He just reads the headlines.
I run with it.
Yeah.
I'll fact check it when it gets deep enough and I feel
Oh
threatened.
my goodness.
Dear Lord.
But
But anyway, back to the extrovert introvert thing. I'm
Oh,
so
yeah,
intrigued.
that.
Sorry, we did go down a rabbit hole.
I liked it. I had something going there, but I lost it.
No, it's fine.
So what the Briggs-Meyer does, it does the I or E, which is introversion versus extroversion. And then the second one is sensing or intuition. How do you process information? Do you process by using your five senses? Or are you more of an intuitive, like an abstract level of thinking? The third letter, T or F, is thinking or feeling.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, I thought
Right.
the F was for something.
I'm
How do you
failing
make
this.
decisions? Do you make decisions based on thinking, analytical thought, or do you based on
I'm failing this test.
make decisions based on feelings? There's no failure. And then the fourth one is JRP, is judging and perceiving. How do you approach structuring your lives? Do you
Structure?
judge or do you perceive?
What's the difference there?
Judgers appreciate structure and order. They like things planned, and they don't like last-minute changes.
That's
The
me.
perceivers like spontaneity, flexibility. They like to leave things
Well,
open,
see, there-
can change their
Is there a
mind.
middle?
Yeah, but I'm all right.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Because I love some spontaneity when it comes to going on a date or something.
For certain things. But I mean, if we're doing things
Like
during
sex. Spontaneous
Yeah, I
sex,
need
as
that
long as
planned
it's
out.
between 5 and 5:15 on Wednesday.
That's
Because
right.
that's the only thing open for the next 3 days.
Right.
Listen.
But other than that,
here's
completely
how I see
spontaneous.
this. Here's how I see this. Let's set this up. We have no real plans, but let's it's not as bad now. But you have a problem with like you have your day kind of where it's going to go. Even your chill time.
Nothing
Yes.
good is going to happen after you start a sentence you have a problem with. Fill in the blank.
All right. Welcome to the podcast.
Issue. I have an issue.
You have an issue. So all right. Let's
You
say
do not like.
Okay, we'll go back. This was
Even
back,
better?
though.
I do not believe that you like.
Right.
Or I just keep
Or
my
I
shut.
feel or I feel that you don't like. In the event that you're wrong.
But okay, let's say this. Let's say this. Let's say okay, I have not
Will I be able to back him into a corner?
probably. Because this is stuff, and you always are okay, but any kind of change in plans, like, okay, like when we live in Atlanta, say that, and I'd run out with my brothers. If I'd come home, we'd have dinner, and I'd be like, hey, I'm going to go down to watch the game at the Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever, and
Right.
I'll, tonight. It would throw you off.
Right.
Because you're a mindset for the night. Not that you're trying to control me or that we had any big plans, but it's like, wait a minute. She has an adjustment period to where she's fine with it. Like she might get flustered and upset and kind of irritated, but it's like if I just keep going and I go do it,
No, I'm fine.
she's fine.
I
in me, she can like. I'm a little different. Like I'm more spontaneous. Like she can come home and be like, I think I'm gonna go.
right.
Meet so and so for a drink. I'm like, cool.
Well, just like tonight.
But it's not because I'm cooler.
No,
it's
I know.
because I'm. But you can't do that to yourself.
No, I know
you
that.
can't change at. You can't have somebody call you at 5 to have a drink and you go do it. Not because of me, but because of your.
Oh no! If somebody called me at 4:30, it's like, "Hey, I'm out. Do you want to come meet for a drink at 5:30?" I'm like, oh, I can't do that. It's not in my book.
Can we do that Thursday night?
Can we do it tomorrow? Like I didn't. No, I mean
In a completely spontaneous way.
I know. I might be able to, but just like tonight, we knew Michael was coming over. And if you would have said, Michael's not able to come tonight, so instead I'm going to go over to Buffalo Wild Wings and meet some of my friends for a drink. In my mind, I would have been like totally fine with it, but I've been like, oh, wait, what? What do you mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it does take me an adjustment period. I am very much so a planner.
But what are you looking for when you say, wait, what? What do you mean? What?
Because I thought I had everything under control.
She's control.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
I gotta tell you. Here's what I feel you may need to consider.
Counseling.
Was that for gentle?
What do I need to consider?
Hey,
I want to
you're
know.
on your own now.
I want to know. Yeah, just like, no, I was going to like it.
Yes.
All right. This I will tell you exactly what this goes back to. This goes back to my divorce. Mm-hmm. When I learned a lesson. And that lesson was I worry about the things over which I can have influence. Mm-hmm. And those things over which I cannot exercise control or even significant influence, I let that go.
Yeah.
It's like people talk about you in the community. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was. There was some nasty things being spread about me. And I had two choices at that point. I could use a West Virginia term. I could bow up and like try to go on a social media assault, letter writing
Which would
assault,
just eat you
confrontation assault when I saw people, which would eat me alive, which would be unhealthy, which would lead me to be unhappy, spend so much time, energy going down a road that would give me no return. Or I could say, you know what? The people who are important to me and who I care know the truth. Mm-hmm. As long as those people know the truth,
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah. I don't really have an issue with that.
But if he wants to go,
No. He can go. No, it puts a
Not
kink in my
nearly as
plans.
bad now, but
No, but it's not about you wanting to go. You definitely 100%. If
But
you
the
went,
thing
I wouldn't
is
be mad. It would just be like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got to adjust all this stuff.
I did it so many times. It's just uncomfortable for a minute because I don't want anybody to be upset. So those times I would go, but I'd be like a little. It'd be uncomfortable till I got down the road, and then it's like it shouldn't bother me.
But it's not even the
But
point
then I
of-
get home and she'd be happy as can be and fine.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's like there's this,
I'm coming across the way that I'm really not. I don't care that you go or what you do, because y'all are coming at me like you've got an issue. You've got like.
Hold on. What did I say?
You said this is something you may want to try.
I feel like this is maybe something you want to consider. I can't say it any gentler like that.
No, but I'm just saying,
think
like-
about how you just turned that into. You said I've got to do this.
No, I'm just
That's actually
saying.
not
What
what I
I'm
said.
trying to say is that I'm being perceived. I feel like if people don't know me, those who know me already know. But like I'm being perceived as somebody who tries to control Jeff and what he does, and that's not true. And that's what irritates me more than anything, because that's something that I actually do not do. It's all about plans. Like I don't like plans to be changed. It's not about what it is or who. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I don't like plans to change. It's not about.
This was also
You're a judger.
This was also
Yeah.
10 or 15 years ago. Now
No,
it's
it
more,
is still now. I
Yeah,
don't
but it's like a
plans change.
5-minute turnaround rather than like an hour or two.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
let's
It's
just
like
put it this way: if we had plans to go eat dinner at my parents' house and we're all going, okay, let's take it out of Jeff goes to do this or Jeff goes to do that. 'Cause I don't give a shit what he does.
it's not about the person.
It's about
Oh,
if
did you
my
hear that?
parents.
We have it actually recorded. She does
We
not
have it
give
recorded.
a shit what you do.
Yes.
If we
Someone.
have plans,
I have got
to
a
go-
list, man. I have got a list.
If we have plans to go to my parents to eat dinner at 4 p.m. and my mom calls and says
4 p.m. What is this, Seinfeld?
I said to my moms, yes.
4 p.m. for dinner?
Yes, they're early eaters.
That's like Seinfeld territory.
Okay, but they're
down
older.
in Florida.
They like to eat dinner around 4.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
Anyway, and she calls and says one of two things. Either, can you be here at 3:30 or can you just be here at 5:30? That would annoy me. Okay, so there's a better example of what I'm trying to talk about.
That's a
like,
better
what do you mean? We're supposed to be there at 4, so now you want us there at 3:30? Or what do you mean? Now you want us there at 5:30? What am I going to do from now on then? Because I had this planned out.
Should've
That's what I'm
mapped out.
talking about. Not you used a really bad example, because now people are perceiving me like I get mad when you go do things, because I don't.
But you don't.
So that's what I'm saying. That's a
So
better
we
example.
can we can edit all that out.
Or no, I don't care. I don't care. Like I don't care, because I know how I am.
So,
Trust me, I'm happy. I don't ever worry about what I want to do. All I'm saying is I was trying to get to the point. I didn't mean to throw you under the bus anyway.
No, it's fine.
Because you're not like that. I'm not saying that. Because I do what I want to do. But it's a lot smoother. It's a lot easier if it's a plan, right?
Yes.
Like if I was like, I'm going to, me and Mychal, we have a thing we do every Thursday night. We go out and we,
Right.
like basketball,
Yeah.
I'm gone that night. You know
Right.
that in advance.
and actually, that was leading to my next
Okay, you
question. Part of the abstract thinking that I often do. You're gonna look at me like I'm a nerd, okay? And
No,
that's
I'm
fine.
not.
We're way past
Did
that.
you ever, like in high school, read on Walden Pond?
We didn't
No.
read.
You didn't read. Henry David Thoreau, early American philosopher, outside of Boston, wrote a book. He went and he kind of lived alone for a long time in a house to kind of think before he wrote this book. And he lived in a house that was very near a pond called Walden Pond. And the name of his book ended up being On Walden Pond. And one of the themes in this book was he wanted to be kind of free and spontaneous and by himself, and like Jeff thinks he can do anything you want. Mm-hmm. And after a while, what he noticed is that there was a path that he took to Walden Pond, and from his back and forth, it had beaten down the long grasses, and that was the path. Mm-hmm. And that led him to think about, we as human beings, we like structure.
Yes.
As much as we like to think we're free, we can do anything we want.
We like structure.
We gravitate towards structure,
That's what it
towards
is.
habit, to routine.
Now you're hitting it.
That hit him
predictability.
because of
Yes.
that path that he was on.
Now you're.
And, Melissa and I have this fight all the time because, if I go to work and I happen to be either listening to an interesting story on NPR or listening to a story on the radio, or I'm actually talking to my office as I'm going into work and don't call her, she gets mad. You always call me in the morning. I'm like, well, no, I don't always call you.
She's
well,
in
yeah, you do.
habit, yeah.
Then she gets irritated, and I'm like, this is why I don't like establishing patterns. Because the moment you take one step
Expectations.
foot off the path,
That's why I've never ever done laundry.
because you can't do it right.
No, because as soon as I do it once, it'll be my chore forever.
Oh, you'll be on that path.
Yes.
So
I've
laundry
just
is
learned-
your path to Walden Pond.
I'm staying away from the laundry. I'm not getting on that
Chick-fil-A
path.
if anybody wants some.
Oh yeah.
But no, I don't know what you were just talking about, but that's where the
Behind your
You
back.
and how much we love you and how.
that's what it is. It's structure. That's what I need is structure. That's what it is.
Within reason, though.
Here's the thing, but it within reason, yes, but I like to park in the same parking spot at the gym.
She does. It's obsessive.
I like to park, if it's not in the same spot, at least on the same side. When I do the click it list, I want to be in spot number 4. And if somebody's in spot number 4 at Walmart on the click it list, I get a little bit agitated. I need to be there.
She has some OCD issues. Literally, social media is nothing. You can
Give
stalk
me an A. What's that spell?
Angie.
Type A.
Yeah.
She can literally,
Yeah.
you could literally stalk her so easily.
I drive the same route. I don't I want to drive the same
To the
way.
minute.
I know there's multiple ways you can get to South Charleston, but I want to go this way, and this is the way I want to go, and this is the way I go all the time. And if I
See,
have
I'm
to
the
go to
opposite.
I don't. It irritates me. So change is hard for me. I'm adaptable and I'm very resilient,
Here's why I don't do that.
but
Because I've seen Jason Bourne movies, and routine will just allow a sniper to take me out.
a sniper could take me out in a heartbeat. I am so routine.
Right. That's why I don't do it, because I've seen the Jason Bourne movies,
Well, I
and I
don't
don't
even
want
know
to
who
get
Jason
into
Bourne is, but
the Bourne Identity.
I don't know.
Matt Dillon.
I've heard of it.
Matt
Matt Dillon. Damon?
That's what I meant.
Matt Damon.
There is a Matt Dillon though too.
There is. But
I can't help it though, Michael.
I hate
You know why?
routine. I hate patterns.
See, I
Dude, I
love
can't
it.
And I
Drive
find
the
myself
same way.
sometimes getting into that, I'm taking the same path to Walden
Right.
Pond all the time.
Right.
And the moment I realize I'm doing that, I break it. I break the tendency.
And maybe that's what Jeff was trying to get across too, because we have such a routine in the week between he and I. We do. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is basically the same. I mean, Monday night's this, Tuesday. So if I know in advance, if he goes to me on Monday and is like, hey, on Thursday, Michael and I are going to go here and here. We're going to have this bourbon. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Fun. But if it came up last minute, it's not that I'd be mad he's going. It's not I care. I'm just like, wait a
No,
minute.
she's not crazy.
This isn't
It's just-
it broke my routine. It broke my routine, and that's where the
And
problem.
another
was.
problem is we like each other.
Oh, that's a huge problem. Why did you say that's a problem?
Did I say that wrong?
Oh my
said
God,
that
did you say that wrong?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For that, it's okay, a lot of people are married and their spouse is like, I'm going to go out and hang out with people. And they're like, oh, thank God I get to be alone.
Yeah.
I get to watch my show. I get to do my thing. But
Yeah.
we actually like hanging out in the evenings.
Right.
9 o'clock, we love chilling out and being around each other
Or
and
the
talking.
or the spouse gets mad, like, you can't go because you have to do this, this, and this for me, and this and this and this around the house. I'm not like that. I'm bummed
No,
because
you're
I'm like,
not.
well, I want to hang with you.
Yeah.
It's so that's kind of more of, I guess, an accurate.
So Neil Donald Walsh.
O'Neill.
Neil Donald.
Recognize the name?
No.
Of course not. If you did, I'd say you're lying.
What did he just call
he
us uneducated?
Or-
No.
I'm just kidding.
He said you're
But
poor
he
people.
has one of my favorite quotes. That
Ooh, I love
is-
quotes.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes that I often think about.
I do. I love quotes.
I love quotes.
I do love quotes, Michael. Go ahead.
Life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
I've
I've heard that. I've used that I've used it in
think about
workouts.
the dichotomy, though, of what you're saying.
I don't even know what
Ange.
the F dichotomy means.
Think about the inconsistency
good.
between what you're saying, which
I
is
know, but why
I
can't-
crave patterns. I crave routine. Routine and patterns is not where life begins.
But
Life
Michael-
begins when you stretch yourself.
Okay, I understand that, and I'm all up for a good challenge. But I am who I am. And that doesn't mean I'm like that in every aspect of my life. No, hold on. I'm not like that.
Amen.
Hey, I'm not like that in every aspect of my life, though. In my fitness world and in my fitness journey, I'm not like that. I'm not routine. I'm always
true.
changing.
Sometimes
I'm
she'll,
always
like,
doing something
do
different.
leg
I'm always
day on
doing
a different
No,
day.
listen, I'm being serious. I always switch it up and I practice what I preach. But when it comes to my life and my personal life, which I have different than my fitness life, I'm very much so routine. But in my fitness world and in my fitness journey and everything, I absolutely live by that quote. I will never be comfortable in my fitness journey, and I don't want to be. I always want inconsistency there. But in
know
my
what?
life, as I walk in daily on this planet, I need consistency.
You know what? All this makes me think about. It brings back all the stories and all the things that you've told me, which I don't know if we need to go down this rabbit hole of your childhood.
We love rabbit holes.
I think a lot of this and your situation with predictability and patterns and comfort
True.
is because of that. You did not have that.
True, that's very true.
You did not have that as a child. You
No,
did not
I
have
did
that.
not.
You didn't know from day to day. Your parents
True.
are fighting. They're gone. All of a sudden, you get ripped out of school on a Tuesday, and you're moving from Florida to West Virginia.
That's probably true.
Without your parent, with one,
That's probably
and
true.
one of your parents is not going with you. It's like all this uncertainty. You know what I mean?
That's true. So when I finally have control of my life as an adult, that's probably why I have control issues too. Because okay, I don't want any of that shit to happen in my family. So I need everything to be like, and I don't run like I'm not militant. When I say like to be in control, I'm not militant.
I'm not militant.
If
I'm
you
not
saw
militant.
the intensity with which she
No,
is
because
leaning
I'm
forward and
serious.
saying that to me and just steely eyes boring into the back of my head,
I am not militant.
I need to describe that over the audio podcast just to get the point across to the audience. Wow.
No, but Jeff,
I'm not militant.
good. Repeat after me.
Sir, yes, sir.
No,
Or as
but really.
Radar O'Reilly said in MASH, which I'm dating myself. Yes, sir, ma'am, sir.
No, but if you ask my kids if I'm a militant parent, they would definitely say no, 100%. They would not. They would say no. But I think you do. I think that's true. Now that you said that, that's probably is why I cried that.
It
But
makes complete sense that you're.
We're the sum of our experiences.
I do,
No
I
kidding.
do, I do love that quote, and I do like a challenge, and I do think that there is. What the heck are you all eating? What is that?
This is grilled chicken.
It looks like blueberry cobbler from over here,
But it tastes like chicken.
or a cinnamon roll.
Could be alligator.
Oh,
Tastes
could
like
be
chicken.
actually.
Could be orangutan.
But so
Tastes
Jeff
like
and
chicken.
Jeff and I were just talking about. Well, he came up with the idea of doing some challenges starting Monday, like challenging yourself for X, Y, and Z, whatever.
Which is all
We don't
kind
have
of
to go.
pattern-based.
We don't have to go into detail with it. But I am up for a challenge in my. I don't need a fitness challenge. I got plenty of those. A challenge in my personal life. Somebody challenged me to do something that's out of my comfort zone for my personal life.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's where
Can I add to the list?
But you can't be like you got to just do a little bit. Like I can't be something stupid like crazy.
That's kind of why I went with the things I told you about that I want to do starting Monday.
But that's a lot. Like I just am saying, give me one thing in my personal life. Do this next week. Commit to do this next week.
I've got several things.
It can't,
I
it's not
have
gonna be-
several things,
No,
too.
don't
Can I
make
add to
it
the list?
sexual.
Can I say to the
No.
list?
Don't make everything sexual.
Oh my God! None of mine were.
Well, mine.
Why
mine
should
all
have
of-
yours wasn't, Michael?
All of mine
I'm just
were.
saying.
Every one of them.
Okay, mine were not.
That's nice. That's sweet.
Well, since it is your wife, I thought that might be polite.
That's very.
So
polite.
what is it?
You're not gonna like it.
Well, that's the point.
You may
isn't it?
not like as much as whatever Jeff has cooked up.
Oh gosh, tell me.
I
feel
want
like
you
it.
to take 3 stories on the front page of the New York Times and read them in their entirety.
Why?
Do you know what the New York Times is?
Because it's outside your comfort
What is
zone.
it? What am I going to get out of that?
Knowledge.
Are you saying I'm stupid?
In the New
No,
York
oh
Times.
my God. What? How do you take that statement and like?
Because
You immediately go to a place that is 437 miles away.
I don't know. I'm good at it.
Because if you apply your logic of what you just said, everyone who reads the New York Times
Are liberals.
are stupid.
just kidding.
Everyone is
No,
stupid.
everyone that reads the New York Times is way too intelligent for me. Because people
Well,
only
no,
read the
that's
newspapers
not
that are
true.
intelligent.
No, that's not true either. They read newspapers to gain knowledge. Okay, let's. You said liberals.
I'm kidding.
Wall Street Journal.
Oh, I don't even know the difference between the
Something
two.
politically neutral. Wall Street Journal. Read 3 articles on the front page of the Wall Street Journal to completion. You have to
Just
actually go back.
Once a week, just one time.
Yeah.
So I can read one article today, one
and we'll
tomorrow.
discuss.
You will never make it through an article.
How long are they, Michael? I gotta put it on my calendar. I have to calendar it in.
This is a solid start to your
She,
Okay,
if
how
she
long
had-
beginning life at
if
the
she-
end of your comfort
I'll
zone.
do
I gotta
it,
tell
but you
you.
just gotta tell me how long they
Listen.
are.
Is it more than 500 words? Do they have multiple syllabic words?
Are they?
I need
are there,
500 words or less, and they all have to be 2 syllables.
Are
or
they?
less.
Are there pictures?
And how many words does a picture? How many does that count?
And can I call you if I don't know what a word means
Yes, that you may.
or know how to pronounce one?
Oh my God.
I'll put it in Nate's thing that reads to him. No, I mean I'll do it. I'm joking around. I'm just making light of it. But if that's a challenge that you're putting out there, I'm willing to take it. I am. I'm willing to take it. I'll do it.
Look,
Starting
I'm not
Mind your
Monday.
mind.
Yeah.
And look, I promise I'm not gonna get political,
Mine are going to seem awesome now.
but I am critical of people who live in their own silos.
Live in there who?
Own silos.
Oh.
Or their own echo chambers.
oh yeah, definitely.
And so, whatever my political leanings, I always make it a point to ensure that I read things outside of what I personally feel
Oh no,
or believe.
I agree with that.
Yeah. you have
Outside
to.
my silo,
agree with that.
outside my echo chamber.
When it comes to politics,
stretch my
I hate
mind.
all the silos.
Let's not go politics.
Because even if I disagree with it, I may understand it better.
Right. No, I 100%
I
agree with
agree
you
with
on
that
that.
100%.
So that's to me,
do.
that's something I do on a regular basis to go outside my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Is to read outside of
Get outside your tribe a little bit.
right, and I just don't read the same things and the same sources. I
Right.
go outside of that.
Yeah.
That's smart.
All right. So starting Monday, between Monday and Friday, I'm going to read 3.
I'll send them to you.
Here's, please. That would be much easier. So because then I don't have to
Are
take
we
the
going to
time
have to
to.
subscribe?
No, no.
I'll read them, Michael. I will. I
will.
promise you, I'll read them.
I'll get them to you.
Okay, I'm gonna have to wake up 30 minutes earlier. I gotta calendar that in, but I'll read them.
She will if she puts them on the calendar because I put sexual acts on her calendar and they actually happened.
He is. He's like send Jake a nude at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. And I'm like, crap, it's 10 a.m. I have to.
It works.
I'm gonna spontaneously throw on the blue teddy that you bought for me last year.
Right.
But I'm not gonna tell you because it's gonna be spontaneous when you arrive home at
I don't
5:15.
care.
No, but honestly, I think how people
And we're gonna be
are-
done by 5:30, so like don't dilly dally.
Yeah, because you know I don't like change.
Don't dilly dally. Is that a
It-
trick that I don't know about?
Dilly
give you-
dally. You don't know how to dilly
Dilly-dally?
dally?
I'll give you all the time you need up to 12 minutes.
Shit.
I think everybody
Is that for
is.
the week?
Is that 10 minutes more than you need? Gotcha.
I think everybody is how they are for a reason, like you said, like because of their past or because of their experiences in life. And I think it's okay, but I think challenge if you
have to challenge
Here it
yourself.
is. If you're unhappy with the way that you are, if you're happy with the way that you are, I don't think there's, as long as it's healthy, and you're not doing something crazy. I think that for me, for instance, if I'm happy the way that I am, it's not hurting anybody else. It's not affecting anybody else. It's how I live my life. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But just like I said, I think it would be fun to challenge. Now, I thought you were going to ask me to drive a different way to like the gym or something. And then I was going to be like, what do you mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
If we were in a big city, you know what I would ask you to do?
what?
Drive through Caribou Coffee instead of
We love
Starbucks.
Caribou coffee.
I do like
Or Pete's Coffee down south. or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
Go to a different place than Starbucks.
See, that's
here in-
That would drive her crazy.
it would drive me crazy.
Right. That's what I would ask
When
her
I
to do
pull
for
into
a big.
Starbucks and I'm driving, if her spot is open and I don't pull into it, which I don't, she lets me have it.
I'm like, why are you parking on the side of the road? Like, if he parks there, it's
I'm
fine.
gonna find out where she parked at the gym in the days that she actually
That
is
won't be
working,
hard to do.
or at GNC in the days she's working, and I'm gonna go park there.
How did you know I already have a spot at GNC? I've only worked there for
I
2
know
weeks.
exactly where the spot is at GNC.
Because I've learned enough tonight to know that you have a spot.
No, I mean,
Literally, she.
If we
So
go-
I'm gonna go park in it, and I'm gonna hide, and I'm gonna like video the reaction.
oh, I'd be so mad. If we go into the drive, like I'm so like routine that
She
if we go
keys
through
your
the
car.
if we go through the drive-through at Starbucks and Jeff in his voice orders the drink that I do, they're like, "Hey Angie," you know, because they already know I'm in the car. That's how bad it is. Like, it's so routine. It is kind of bad, but it's good too. There's good parts of it too.
Yeah, sure.
I had an experience that my sister told me about that made her cry. That reminded me of Cheers. Did you ever watch Cheers?
Oh, the show, yeah.
Yeah.
Where everybody knows your name.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Norm.
Yes.
My sister had a Norm moment, and I had a Norm moment recently. Of course, we're talking about Cheers when Norm walks into everybody. Norm!
Yeah.
My sister told me, and this was a few years ago, with her job, she had to travel a lot. She lives outside of San Francisco, so flew out of San Francisco. And she took one flight on United to New York so much that the crew and the stewardesses knew her.
That's awesome.
No, it made her cry.
Why?
Because it meant that she was spending that much time away from home.
Oh, well, okay. If you look at it that way.
And for me, I had that moment because I was spending so much time up in Wheeling that there's a particular hotel. There's a Hampton Inn. The only one I will go to up there. The owners and the employees are just beyond fantastic. But I had a sinking feeling because I walked in a few months ago and they're like, "Mr. Schultz, how are you? Welcome back." I'm like, "Oh God, I've been here too much."
That's so funny.
Which
because
was-
we're-
which is-
that comforts me.
To me, that
But we're
immediately
different.
symbolized I'm spending a lot of time
No,
up here.
but for me, it symbolizes I'm building relationships.
I'm that
But
way.
how is that
I'm that
bad?
way too.
How is that bad?
I'm
being
spending a lot of time away from home.
away from home. Okay, I can see where you're saying that because it's away from home. Mm-hmm. But like, I feel like, yes, I can see where you're saying that you're away from your family so much. That I get that, but at the same time, it would be comforting for me because if I'm gonna be away from home, I want to be with people who are used to me and who are kind of
Recognize
getting
you.
to know me and are recognize me and can use my name. There's nothing more comforting than when somebody says my name, whether it's at Starbucks, whether it's at the
Angela.
gym. No, or whether it's anywhere.
Angela.
You know
Angela.
me and
Angela.
you're using my name. That means I have a relationship with you, and I absolutely love that. Like, that's what I strive for. I want to be a regular somewhere. I can see it's different because it's spun because you're
away
being
from
away
home,
from your home.
but it's not that you can't control it. You know what I mean? It's like you have to be away from home for this period
Right,
of
so
time
that
for
part would-
work. And guess what? You don't have young children.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
But no, but I'm
Which
just
is-
saying, if you
which
have
is
to be
nice.
away from home, do you
No,
Because
really?
that would
correct.
really bother you, I think, a little bit more maybe if it was. Like
Yeah.
me, when my kids were younger and there was that routine, now they...
They're hardly ever home. But I'm just saying, if you have to be away
would
from
really
home,
bother
do
me
you
to
really
be
want to
away.
go inside a spot where nobody knows you? They're just like, I'm sorry, what's your name? Versus, I'm away from
Kind
home,
of.
this
That's
sucks.
kind of appealing,
but
too.
now I'm walking
Yeah,
in.
the answer to that is yes.
Oh, okay. See, we're different though. We're night and day different because I don't want that.
That's why my children hate Charleston and will never move back here is because they
Everybody knows everybody.
crave anonymity.
I get that.
Which
I'm
I've,
not.
which I've
Loved it.
thought about a lot, and I get that.
I get it, but I everybody's different. I'm not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm just saying, like, everybody has their preferences. I do like that to an extent. I liked when we lived in Atlanta and I could
I
go into
enjoyed that.
Walmart without makeup on because I know, in fact, I'm not going to see anybody I know, and that's awesome. But if I had my choice, I want to know people. I want people to know. I want people to greet me by my name and not be like, who are you?
Angela.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, like, I remember that going to... It's weird how wherever you are, you kind of eventually crave the thing that you had. Meaning,
Grass is always greener.
Yeah.
Yes, when we moved to Atlanta, there was something euphoric about not knowing anybody and nobody knowing you.
For a minute.
For a minute. Probably the first year I was there. Like,
Maybe.
you go out, you go to the store, you never see anybody unless I wore a West Virginia hat. If I wore a West Virginia shirt or hat, there was never one time I did not go out that I didn't meet another West Virginian. And I don't know how. But every time I wore a West Virginia anything, someone would be like, "Go Mountaineers," or it's crazy. But then, because you go to Kroger and you're like, I just got to get in here, I got to get this, and I got to get home. Or I leave and I'm like, I got to run down here to Kroger and I'm going to grab this and I'll be back in 10 minutes. And an hour later, she's like, are you okay? Are you lost? I'm like, no, I ran into so-and-so. Oh, and then I went over here and I ran into Michael. And then I ended up having 3 15-minute conversations at Kroger. And I forget to get 3 of the 4 things that I went to get.
And here's an interesting,
Which is, I loved it when I moved back. I loved that.
this is a tiny rabbit hole off of that. But given the number of places I've lived in my life, one of the things that always fascinated me was that people who were born, raised, grew up into adulthood in a locale rarely do the touristy things. What people who come to your location and do. You guys had never been to Mountain Stage until
We didn't
Right.
talk
we
about
took
it.
you. You didn't
Right.
really know
It's
about it.
amazing. Yeah.
How long had you been here?
Yeah.
That you
My
weren't
whole
born
life.
and raised. Well,
Right.
yeah, you had been born and raised here. You would be stunned at the number of natives who were born and raised here have never been to Mountain Stage.
Or know
Have
about
you
it.
been? Have you been to Kanawha State Forest?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know you guys have taken up hiking. Now you're
Yeah.
out there all the time. When I was in Richmond, I lived in Richmond, and I explored Richmond while I was working there. I worked there one summer when I was in law school. And I would go doing things all the time, and I'd talk to people who lived there. Well, did you go do this, that, that museum? I'm like, wow, no, we've never been there. No, we've never been there. I'm like, it's because you get into a routine.
Right.
Patterns.
Yep.
Patterns and routines, and this is your hometown, and since this is your hometown, you're not going to do the touristy
But
type
that's
thing.
what
Yeah,
you're
that's
talking
true.
about. Get out of your comfort zone, right?
Right,
Your comfort
exactly.
confines you. Your comfort, it keeps you from growing. It keeps you from experiencing great things.
Here's one for those your listeners who live in Charleston. When's the last time you've been to the West Virginia Museum at the Cultural Center?
Right.
I would never have gone, but for the fact that my daughter worked there one summer, and so I went down. She actually took me through. Oh my God, it's unreal. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I could live 2 days in there. But that's for something from people outside of Charleston to go to do.
Yes.
That's not something for you and I to do because
We live here.
we live here and we're going to Kroger and we're going to
Right.
work.
But
and
you
we're
know what the
going
weird thing
with our
is?
kids to do
Right.
this.
You do that everywhere. We moved to Atlanta. I lived there first 2 years. I went to Falcons games. I went to Hawks games. I went to Braves games. After I'd been there 2 years, we lived there 8 years. All of a sudden, I never went to any games or didn't experience any of that stuff anymore. We did. The first 2 years, we went to see everything. We went to Coke Museum. We went to
Yeah, you
all
went to
these
the
cool-
underground.
because we never lived it. Yeah, we went to experience it. But then after that, it's like we moved back, and I'm like, we never did this. We never did that. Because we got in a routine for 6 years.
You forgot
8
to
years.
live. You forgot to go
Right.
to the edge of your comfort zone. And you have to, I think a lot
And
of
that's
times
where my
consciously
challenge is going
do
to
it.
lead us next week
Yeah.
for you with what I was thinking about earlier.
You have to
go to the
consciously
edge of
go
your
to that.
comfort zone.
What?
He had a challenge
Oh,
for you.
I gotcha.
He had the challenge for you to
I
read 3
gotcha.
articles. I can take you to the edge of your comfort zone
I
another
gotcha.
way.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway,
He has to always take it there. I don't have problems going to try new things though. Like if you called us up this week and it's like, let's go to the what? I wouldn't be like, ew, no, I'm not going there. That's not in my routine. I mean, it's not that extreme. I'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds fun. Like I want to do stuff like that.
it's just
It's
don't
just-
call her up Saturday morning and say, hey, do you guys want to do
Plan
this
spontaneity.
later this afternoon?
Plan
Oh, I mean,
spontaneity.
I would do it.
Right.
You're acting like I would never be
No,
spontaneous.
no, you are
Like
spontaneous.
I would as long as I didn't have anything planned.
When do you not have things planned?
I mean, there's some days. No, I mean, y'all, you're painting me out to be some sort of crazy.
Do you know when she
I'm
doesn't
not.
have something
no,
planned?
I'm not.
Do you know when she doesn't have something planned?
When?
I don't know, but she can consult her calendar and look.
Yes. I normally don't have anything planned other than sitting around chilling, drinking my wine from 8:30 at night
honestly-
until about 11.
I really honestly love that structure, though.
Well, I'm so glad you do.
It helps me.
Because y'all are making me start to
grounded.
feel like that I should be somebody that I'm not, and I'm not that person.
Oh my God! No!
I'm not that person. I'm not that person. I'm not Jeff, and I'm not you, and I'm Angie, and you're Michael, and you're Jeff.
And
I wouldn't
nobody's
mind being
advocating.
Angie.
And what? What?
I said I wouldn't mind being Angie. There's a lot of traits like.
This is a whole nother conversation.
This is weird.
Apparently.
Like,
No, I'm just saying there's a lot of
This is a
those.
whole nother podcast.
There's a lot of those traits that I envy.
well, everybody has traits in other people they envy.
Oh,
envy.
that's what you meant.
So things.
I was about to say,
I
not
mean,
that
there's
there's
traits
anything
that you
wrong
have
with
So
that I
when
envy.
you
There's
say
traits that
that,
Michael have that I
I
envy.
would if I thought that any of that was really negative. Honestly, I wouldn't have talked
Yeah.
about it.
No, I know.
Because I don't think there's anything negative in it. I think we all have, just like me, I'm too lax in a lot of areas.
Right.
Right. Or I need more structure.
Right.
That's why I'm doing what I'm doing next week, and I want to
Yeah.
challenge myself to this is something I have to mark off every day to challenge myself.
Ooh, do you want me to help you make a list? I love a list.
She'll be in her negligee with a
Ooh.
notebook and a pencil
Yes,
later.
I love a good
Let's make
list.
that list.
Ooh.
Whatever does it for
Do
you.
you want to
baby.
get a spiral notebook and some mechanical pencils? I love a good spiral notebook and mechanical pencils.
I'm just happy to be here.
Michael, do you prefer to write out on paper or do you prefer to do things on your iPad? I'm just curious.
Actually, that's really funny that you asked that. Because I rarely write now.
Really?
And I recently had a birthday, and my sister and brother-in-law bought me some really nice iPad
Yeah.
earphones. And just this week, they knew I was gone all last week. But just on Wednesday, I'm like, I need to acknowledge this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually have a drawer at work that has nice note cards,
Mm-hmm.
like thank you cards.
Yes. Old school, baby.
Yeah, very old school
I like
with my
it.
name embossed on
Yeah.
it. They were from Crane. They were like really nice. I'm like, it's unfortunate I still have so many of them. So I whipped one out and I was writing a thank you note, and I thought this seems like laborious.
Yeah.
It's hard to write.
This
isn't
just seems like it's taken a lot of energy, much less time, and it hit me. I rarely write anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I had that same revelation recently.
And so whether it's iPad or a computer,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go into a meeting if I'm going to take notes. More often than not, I'm typing notes.
Mm-hmm.
That it sucks.
I get what
And
you're
so
saying. Yeah.
But this is the funny thing. I then texted them and I said, I don't want you to think I'm ungrateful and not acknowledging it. I got the headphones, they're great. But I wrote a thank you note, and it may take a while to get to California. So,
I mean, I get
so
that because.
I sent a text thanking him, letting him know a thank you note was on the way.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical.
But it's true. It's so hard. Like I was writing it. It's just and technology's making it even harder to do those things anymore. You know what I mean? Like just
It's the thing about technology. Technology is all about reducing effort by human beings.
Right.
it's reducing effort, but it's making us dumber. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but it's
Can we say
making
rabbit
us
hole one
Wall-E.
more time?
dumber.
Wall-E. Do you remember? Did you ever see the movie
Do you
Wall-E?
remember when
like
we were younger?
Wall-E? Like
Do
the
you-
robot?
Yeah.
I knew all my friends' phone numbers.
Vaguely.
You remember all your friends' phone numbers?
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember that? I don't know my family members.
I don't know.
know my kids' phone
I had to
numbers.
do that the other day. I don't even know Brooke's phone number.
We're dumb.
So you guys didn't
and
see the
now
movie
pen,
Wall-E?
the new pen where I write, like
The new what?
The new. I have the Apple Pencil for this. It's downstairs.
No, what'd you call it?
I don't know what I call it. Maybe the pen.
A pen?
A pen.
A pen?
What are you making fun of the way I talk?
Oh my God, yes. Not a pen.
A pen.
P-I-N. P-E-N. Pen. You write with a pen.
Okay.
You pop a balloon
Listen,
with a pen.
tourist. That's not how we talk
Tourist.
around these parts. All right.
I mean, tourists.
And by the way, I wanted to
Tourist.
congratulate you. I will have to give a compliment that I don't like to give. This hurts. but I was thoroughly impressed with the finish by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Oh my gosh. Talk about a rabbit hole. I'm going to go get a refill.
Unbelievable resilience. The defense
Impressive.
was unreal. Anyway, the Apple Pencil that I write with, okay? So now, not only does it just write like you can write, there's an option now for me to scribble on my screen and it text it, okay? So now if I want to text you, I can pull up your text on this iPad and I can select the text pen option. Now I can just start writing and it'll translate it into a text so you don't have to look at my writing anymore. But it'll basically change it to it's crazy. And you can do it with any app, anything now. It's just everything's getting easier and easier and easier, which resistance is good for us. You know what I mean? There's resistance and struggle is good for us, and I think evolution makes us. Obviously, evolution is bringing us to a point where we want to make everything easier for ourselves.
You know, I have this conversation / argument with my sister all the time. My sister lives outside of San Francisco, and her particular job, she's an executive recruiter. And she deals a lot in the tech industry. Of course, it's by Silicon Valley, right? And I'm in West Virginia. Flyover state. As I put it with her. This is flyover country.
Well, let her know that you know this guy who's really into tech.
Well, but the argument that I have with her is, to her, all technology is unthinkingly positive. All technology is unthinkingly in advance. And I tell her, no. Because if technology actually makes human beings dumber, I don't necessarily think of that as an advance. If technology makes some action easier, it's not necessarily an advance. And, you know, I keep going back to WALL-E, but we could be so dumbed down and we could have machines eventually do everything for us that there's nothing left for us to do.
Right.
Which this is future podcast material. That's the whole theory behind universal wages, a universal income. And that's also
what do you think
that
about
forgets
that?
about the cost of maintaining the technology that we have now. We live in a society. Think about it. Your kids, and they all want the newest. They want the newest stuff, right? Because the newest stuff is faster, bigger, better. It's better. So, son wants the newest game console. Both Sony and Microsoft coming out with new Xbox, new PS player. It's going to be epic, right? Because it can do so much more. Blah, blah, blah. We all want the biggest, baddest, freshest, fastest.
Within a year.
But
the phones, within a year, it does that. It's not like we're waiting multiple years to get something better.
Right. And I don't want to necessarily advertise for another podcast, but I listened to a Freakonomics episode that talked about the cost of maintaining what we have. Everyone thinks about the cutting edge technology, but the cost of maintaining the technology that we now have consumes like 90% of the costs that we put into technology. We all want the next biggest thing, but yet we need to hang on to and maintain what we have too.
Right.
I mean, we all have phones. I look around the table. We all have phones, right? Is yours the newest phone?
No.
No, it's not.
The sad thing is I bought this.
But there's a cost to maintaining the technology.
This
sure.
is the 11 Pro Max. I bought it 4 months ago, and now the 12 is out.
Exactly.
It's like,
And
this is old news.
It's like cars back in the 40s and 50s. Every year they came out with a tweak. Why? To get you to abandon what you just bought and spend the money to get the new one.
So you can say I got the new one.
And look at mine. You would look at my phone and you're like, that's from 10 years ago, right? Look how small it
Yeah,
is.
you need to update that.
Well, that's an SE. That's
An
actually a brand.
SE, that was years ago.
Came out like 5 months ago. This is like cutting edge technology, But everyone looks at it and says, well, look at it. The screen size is like a 6, which I had before.
Oh, that's true. They did have the
Right. All the technology is
I'm
in
telling
here,
you,
but it's a small screen, so people
if you
assume.
watch The Social Dilemma, if you watch that and it shows, the big thing it hit on too was that the preteens and teen, especially females, and what social media is doing to them. I mean,
Social
the
media.
suicide for those age groups is up. Not 10%, not 20, not 50, not 70, hundreds of percent. You know what I mean? They're trying to keep up. They're seeing all this stuff. Unattainable. And then, like you said...
More than ever before, we can see what the Joneses down the block are doing. And the cost of trying to keep up with the Joneses is ridiculous.
Yeah.
More than ever before. Because now with social media... which is not real life most of the time. But everyone wants to keep up with what they see on social media.
Social media can be a negative thing, and it can also be a positive thing, because my business wouldn't be nearly what it is without it.
No question.
So it depends on how you're using social media.
Right.
But it definitely can be a bad thing.
No,
real bad negative thing.
You have to be critical of your sources.
Yeah.
Just like if you're doing a research paper, you have to be critical of your sources.
Yeah.
If you're doing research for your business, you have to be critical of your sources.
Right.
When you consume content on social media, you have to be critical of your sources.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
The good thing for you and the way it works for you and your business is you're broadcasting. You know what I mean? You're producing content.
Right.
So it's a good thing. It's a positive thing.
Right.
Right. And it's all positive. It's
Most
all
of the time.
positive stuff.
Right.
So you're not only you're producing positive content. So it's a good thing. I'm talking more about the other side.
No, I agree.
Where you got social media ads and stuff preying on
Oh, yeah, for sure.
people.
Yeah,
Which
for sure.
like you've seen, it's like
Oh, yeah.
you look at one ad and then it floods you.
Oh, I'll tell you this story. It is true, because I was such a skeptic of that for a while, because I'm a skeptical person. But Jeff would always tell me how, like, whatever you look up, they're going to do it. I'm like, whatever, it's never happened to me. Well, it finally happened to me. Like, it never had happened to me before. None of this stuff you say that you talk about it or you look it up, then you're getting ads for it. That had never happened to me until recently. I started working at GNC, and I started researching some of the weird things that they had or whatever, and I was like, what the heck does milk thistle do? And so I Googled milk thistle to see what it does, right? Let's give your heart, by the way. It is hilarious, because then I'm scrolling through Snapchat, going through people's stories, and then boom, an ad for GNC comes up with milk thistle. Never has it ever a GNC ad popped up on my Snapchat. And milk thistle? Are you serious?
That's like an unmistakable ad.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't
blame it on
maybe
anything. You can't be like, well, yeah, I mean, it's Christmas time. Of course they're giving ads for, like, monitors for your computer, or of course there's candle ads, or of course they're milk thistle. Seriously, it's crazy.
They record every move you make.
I recently made a purchase on MeUndies. We've talked about it.
Jeff still has not gotten me any of those.
I want to get some MeUndies.
Oh, you want to get some, so it'll magically happen. But I wanted some ever since we had that one podcast. Sorry,
we're going to do MeUndies. They match. You can get matching
sorry,
MeUndies.
Michael. I took yours. Anyway,
what's wrong with you, man?
Thanks, Michael. Go ahead with your story.
Why are my parents fighting? So on my iPad, I made a purchase on MeUndies. And then I went over to my phone, different device, and I went on my Instagram feed. And the first ad I saw was MeUndies.
It's crazy.
I'm like, are you kidding me? What does my iPad and my phone have in common?
Is it the iCloud?
The only thing they had in common is that it's Apple.
They're
both
can
Apple
it be
devices.
an iCloud thing? Like where he searched it and he's on the iCloud?
It knows it's
no.
you. It knows it's you.
Well, yeah, Apple
It
is
knows
tracking
it's
my
you.
data.
Right.
Apple is taking the
Well,
data
not
of
only
what
Apple, but did you search it on
but
Google?
Apple, no.
Any of those sites.
Apple is tracking my data,
And they're selling it.
and they're on a continuous basis. I mean,
Well, that's
instantaneous
what-
basis,
but-
because that info went to MeUndies. MeUndies, it also went to, well, of course, Facebook has now bought Instagram. So it immediately flooded to Instagram.
Right, because
so then
they
on
pay-
different device, when I
They pay
opened
for
that
the
app,
ads.
when I opened that app, that purchase just a short time before, that data had already flowed to the
Yeah.
Instagram app on my phone, so that I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my goodness.
But what I'm saying is, so if I was on my Google Chromebook and I looked up milk thistle, and then I got on my phone, it probably wouldn't be, because it's not the same device.
Absolutely, it would.
No, listen. If
It
you're
would.
logged into your... Yes, because guess what Google does? To get into
Okay, Google's the wrong thing. Okay, scratch Google. Scratch Google. Scratch Google.
If you're logged into anything,
Here-
it's going to track you. They
Yeah, it's
track
not
you.
it's not the device, it's the data. So any device, whether it's an Android, whether it's an iPhone, regardless of device, it's data.
Yeah.
And so that
That
data,
was my question, because I don't know about this stuff.
Because
Back
now
in
they,
the- and
they
back
make
in the
you log
day-
into everything now. So your Google is going
and
to
accept
store
cookies.
and accept cookies. So they're gonna store anything on Google, and they're gonna get you with. I mean, they're gonna sell it. They're gonna move it. And MeUndies is paying them for the ads, and they're paying for the information.
Oh,
and
there's tremendous amount of
and
money
that's
to
what-
be made in data.
that's what they said in that documentary. They said there's only 2 industries where they call their customers users, and that's the drug industry and the tech industry.
Wow. All right. Yeah. We're
Because
we're users.
we get you addicted to something that you cannot get away from. You
Which,
can't
again, going back to the argument with my sister, all these devices. I mean, look at what we're sitting at this podcast table with. You have your computer open. All 3 of us have phones. I have an iPad open.
I have an Apple Watch.
And you have an Apple Watch.
Mine's in there, but I wish I had it on right now.
And I refuse to wear an Apple Watch for that very reason.
Yeah.
But whether you call it an addiction, a crutch, our ability to
Everybody's
access
doing it.
I think
information.
that I call it a convenience. I don't think I'm addicted to it. Like, if you took my phone, the only thing that would make me nervous was not being able to get in touch with my kids. I'm not addicted to the point of, like, what do you mean I can't check my social media? I'm not addicted to it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're told me to, now, I try to run my business from it. So if you took it from me, it would be a little difficult, because I do run a business from it. But, like, I'm not going to hyperventilate if you take my social media from me. You know what I mean? You can take my phone. I just need to be able to get a hold of my kids.
See, in this state, in West Virginia, it's funny. It's gotten a little better over time, but there are still wide swaths of West Virginia that don't have cell service or adequate
Right.
cell service. And of course, we found out in this pandemic
Right.
because kids were really struggling
Right.
trying to do virtual school. If you don't have cell service, well, or internet, reliable internet. But in my profession, occasionally I have to take people from out of town down to rural counties that don't necessarily have internet
Right.
or cell service.
Right.
And it's like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And then when they come back into cell service, you can just see those gills open up. It's like they can
crazy.
breathe again, and they can read their
Yeah.
phone, they can answer messages.
I've been there though, because
like-
it is unnerving. It's unnerving.
It's unnerving because for me, because I'm used to being able to get to you, to get to my kids like that.
That's my point.
But
it's
it's
like
like-
20
it's like a-
years ago, nobody ever thought about
Right.
that. Now it's like,
Right.
I know that I've gone to see agents and people in areas where I'm like, in some of those areas in West Virginia, I went down towards not Danville, Lincoln County, but way back in there. Like,
Oh, McDowell County,
yes.
Mingo County,
And all of a sudden,
parts of
I
Boone
have
County.
it just
Yes.
says no service. And I literally was like, oh, shit.
You're off the grid. Like
I'm-
the Bourne,
like,
Jason
I'm
Bourne,
off
you're off the grid.
But what if Angie needs? What if my kid? What if Brooke starts? Because all day you're getting stuff from your kids and your wife, and it's like, what if my boss needs me? What if, like, what's? And then you're like, well, can't fucking do anything about it. So I'm just going to roll. But still, it's weird how we are controlled emotionally by that.
But I think that you get to a point, now whether that's 30 minutes, an hour, 8 hours, you get to a point where it's like the world's not ending.
It's
This
almost
is actually-
refreshing. It is
yeah,
refreshing.
It is refreshing.
And-
No, once you're
and-
out of it, it feels great.
And I've been to Watauga State Park a few times, actually a couple times. And if you've never been, go. and there's no cell service at Watauga State Park in Pocahontas County. And you go into the park, that's it. No cell service, no television in the cabins.
See, I wouldn't mind that.
No
at all.
I
internet.
wouldn't mind that a bit.
And the first time I did that, I'm like,
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Like,
and then after a few hours, like,
this is
wow,
nice.
this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of made it a point of trying to periodically get off the grid like that. And I'll tell the people who I need to know, all right, I'm going dark because I'm going to Watauga. I'm going up to Cheat Mountain. I'm doing something. And you go dark, and it is like a cleanse. It's like going and getting a cleanse at a spa. When you just cleanse all that out and you realize, you know what, that's a choice. And you emerge and you make that choice again, of course.
Right.
But it's like every once in a while, you just have to cleanse
Yeah.
social media from your life, electronics from your life, email and texting and all that, and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
Well, it's patterns, it's control, it has a...
Yeah. I'd have to take a radio or something because I don't like silence.
Me too.
I don't like silence.
I'll take along a Bose speaker.
Oh, you can still do that?
Sure, because that is just, there's electricity.
Right.
And
But
you
you
could
can-
save your playlists and all that.
Yeah, I have music on my iPad. Lots of music on my
okay.
iPad. I have an old-fashioned,
Okay.
what do they call it? iPod.
Oh, an iPod, yeah.
iPod with like 22 days worth of music on it. And I
See,
can
I
hook
could
that
do
up to
that.
speakers and I have music.
I could do that all weekend.
I'm not
if I
connected
knew
to
my
anything.
kids were taken care of, if like my mom had the kids,
Yeah.
like an adult, like, well, some of my kids are adults, but you know what I mean. Like my mom had it under control. That sounds amazing.
It
My
does.
camera still works because I want to capture pictures.
Let's go to Watauga. We'll get a company. We'll
Listen.
get adjacent or down to
I'll do it.
I mean, there are a bunch of West Virginia state parks where you can go and you can get off the grid. And they have great cabins. We'll get adjacent cabins and it'll be great. It'll be fun.
I would
I
love
would
it.
love that. That'd be amazing.
And it's like exercise. You know this. And I'm going to feed right into you. You have to plan it. And you have to stick to the plan. I'm going to Watauga. I'm going to go off the grid. I'm going to cleanse from technology
Right.
and social media.
Yeah.
You have to plan it and you just have to do it.
I can do that. I can plan it. I got my book downstairs when we go. But I can write it in my book because my calendar is written. I don't have a
I'm
calendar.
gonna cleanse from the calendar.
Not from my book. I have to have my book with me.
Okay. All right.
It's like my security blanket.
Right.
Do you have an electronic calendar, or do you have a
It's funny. Yeah.
written calendar, or both?
No, I don't have both. My calendar is on Outlook. And I have my Outlook is my work calendar.
So it's probably shareable and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's on,
Yeah.
it's on all my
I get that.
devices.
I get that.
That's fine.
And if it's not, as I tell my staff all the time, if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So if there's a hearing or if there's
So,
an
yeah.
event, anything, if it's not on my calendar, I'm not showing up.
See, that's the way I am.
That's the importance of the calendar.
Yeah. That's the way I am. But I like mine written. But if I had to have it shareable,
Is
it
there
couldn't
more
be
in there?
written. I get it.
Bad.
Nasty. If you have to have it shareable, that's one thing. But I'm just me by myself with my own business, so I like to write it
You
down.
share it with yourself.
Why do I need to share it with myself?
I don't think that's what he meant.
What did he mean?
Self-pleasure.
What? Wait, what are we talking about? I'm talking about a calendar.
Sure.
He's talking about masturbation.
How did he go from calendaring?
I'm a Jedi.
I
am a Jedi.
Have you never met Jeff?
Did you all have a
You've
side
been married to
conversation
him?
over there with
No.
your Chick-fil-A?
No. But I know him well enough to know that he can go from subject X to masturbation or sex.
Yeah.
You've heard of 6 degrees of separation?
Yes.
Yes. Everything
gift.
from him is 1 degree of separation from sex.
I know. And
It's a gift.
and you also know he can go from sitting up here talking to us to totally passed out in a fetal position over there on the floor if he keeps drinking those whiskeys the way he's drinking.
This is a light whiskey.
Oh, okay.
This is like
as
light
he's
beer.
curled up in a fetal position, and I'm asking Michael to help us to get him to bed.
This is only 87 proof.
Yeah, it's easy stuff. It's normal stuff.
It's straight bourbon whiskey from Whiskey Acres Distilling Company from DeKalb, Illinois.
Okay.
where
it.
they grow their own grains on the farm.
Okay.
At this farm in DeKalb, Illinois.
Delicious.
And I brought it back from Chicago.
Chicago.
Chi-Town's got it
And,
going on.
It is a light. It's only 87 proof.
See what I said?
On the nose, it's very grainy. Kind of a complex, but you can definitely
grainy.
smell the grain.
Yes.
And then on the palate,
Uh-huh.
it's got, I would say, medium complexity. Not like a good Kentucky bourbon.
Right,
Because the Whiskey Acres is only aged in New American oak
Now,
barrels
is the
for about
palate
2
the
years.
top of your mouth? Is that the
It's-
roof of
it's
your
the
mouth?
tongue.
It's the tongue.
It's the tongue.
That's where I was going next.
And then you have
Jeff,
the
you-
finish. So this is only aged in
can
New
I
American
put
oak
my palate on you, baby?
This is only aged in the New American oak barrels for two years.
Right.
So it doesn't have the
2
complexity
years?
of some 2 years.
Why am I drinking this?
Gosh,
7 years or die.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding.
I know you
I'm
are.
going to drink it.
And I'm looking at you dirty like, then put my whiskey down.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm completely joking.
Ungrateful.
I'm trying to be one of
SOB.
those whiskey bourbon snobs. All right, we're going to close this down.
It was a good one.
This was going to be one of those 30-minute podcasts.
No, shut up. Hey,
My bad.
I like that. No, it was good. I like the I like the rabbit hole podcast that we do with Michael.
Yeah,
That's what we're gonna
Michael's-
start calling
Yeah,
it.
you call them rabbit hole. I mean, you call them random when it's just the two of you.
Yeah.
This is rabbit hole.
We're gonna say, we're gonna ask
I'm
him
gonna
for
name
a
it
rabbit
Rabbit
hole
Hole.
podcast.
Rabbit Hole. With
Which,
I
by
think
the
it's
way,
great.
one of my favorite bourbons is rabbit hole.
No,
Rabbit Hole is a good one.
is it super
Rabbit hole?
expensive? We should have it
No.
sometime.
It's not that bad.
We should have it. We should have it sometime and do
I've had
a
it for you, right?
rabbit hole.
Why don't we start doing
All right,
a
next time I
regular
come to
Rabbit
podcast,
Hole
I'll bring a bottle.
podcast with Rabbit Hole bourbon?
I'll bring a bottle of Rabbit Hole. It's distilled in Louisville. It's called Rabbit Hole. It's one of my favorite craft distilleries.
I love Rabbit.
Well, we have
I
to do it
love
on a Friday or a Saturday
Louisville.
night because Angie doesn't drink liquor during the week.
She says that she nurses her wine.
It's wine. It's not liquor.
Okay.
No, that's a wait. Come on, you gotta admit. If I filled this wine glass up with wine and then I filled another wine glass up with that's gonna mess me up.
All right, we'll do that.
Are you?
No, we'll do it. Next time we'll
Let's do it.
podcast on a
good.
Friday or
It'll
Saturday,
be
and
a
I'll bring a
series.
bottle of Rabbit Hole.
I like it.
And it's going to be a
with Mychal
series
Schulz.
with me.
Schulz.
It's always a rabbit hole.
Let's do it on a cheat day so we can have pizza and rabbit hole and whiskey.
Amen.
There we go.
All right, this was fun.